Hi there, everybody. Welcome. It's Mary Wieden You. And you are going to have a chance to talk with one of the people who would like to be the next mayor of Flowood, Mississippi. In a couple minutes here, you'll meet Greg Wilcox. And next week, by the way, we'll meet his opponent, Kathy Smith. But this is Greg's turn. But I want to tell you, look, we have to be very serious. There's some horrible weather coming our way. We really have to be, when Mima says be prepared and if you have to leave, have all your stuff together, well, we hope that will not be necessary. But for us, it's going to be coming in tomorrow morning, they say, but I don't know the time yet. And then it stops for a while, and then it comes in tomorrow evening. And, even the networks are talking about it. Watch out, Mississippi. Oh, Lord, just what we need. And, just so be smart about it, everybody, and stay tuned to your whatever you use for your weather information. And advice from a lot of these people is make sure all your devices are charged. That's a good idea, too.
That's correct.
That's Greg Wilcox. Welcome. Good to meet you.
Thank you, Mary. That's an excellent...
that's a good piece of advice, isn't it?
Look, whenever like you said, preparedness is one of the major key factors to it. Make sure everything is charged before this weather does come in. Because
we don't know. We could get lucky. We could dodge the bullet, as they say. Right. Oh, and as I was going to say at the beginning of the show also, batten down your hatches, okay? So my question is, we're not giving away any prizes or anything, just our undying gratitude that you listen and participate. But what is a hatch? You know what a hatch is? You can call us up and tell us what a hatch is. You can call us at 888-808-8637. You can text us at 601-879-4395, and you can watch us at supertalk.fm/Mary. Now, Lance, don't tell them what a hatch is, okay? I have... No, I won't even say what I have because I don't want to give it away. Anyway, but we do have to batten down our hatches on the serious side because it's going to be awful. I'm going to be charged up with my dog, and we're going to be not very far from the closet. It's a room that's got a TV in it there, and the closet is nearby, and there's so much stuff in the closet. There's so much stuff if it falls. I mean, that's a terrible thing to say that it's so full of stuff, but it's very safe in there because it's so full of stuff.
Well, one of the biggest things I think that is if you lose power, make sure you have candles, make sure you have flashlights, batteries that work. I mean, it's typical whenever I'll get to my house, all of a sudden we're pulling flashlights out, and okay, where's the batteries?
Right. That's
it's anything. Make sure you get out there and get some new batteries, and make sure everything is prepared, ready to go.
Don't go to the store till a little bit later, though. I'm going to go right after work, and there are a couple of things I need. I don't even want to say what I need besides some cookies, but because I don't want to give people. No, I know I got to get some water. I need water anyway, and it just so happens that it's now. That's all I need, really, cookies and water.
There you go.
Basically,
you'll be good to go.
All I need, but I really shouldn't be laughing because it's going to be terrible. I hope not.
Serious, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
and it's going to get really. I think to the east of us is going to be pretty bad too. Eventually, I think on Sunday. I think we should be pretty clear on Sunday.
Right.
So, welcome to Mary Wieden. Welcome to running for mayor.
Thank you, Mary.
Are you exercising the way a mayor would talk about? Sure all your things are together.
I am. Look, I've got notes just to make sure because I've got people that have schooled me on saying, look, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Most people that know me, I talk from the heart. I don't really put a script together or anything like that. I talk from the heart because as I was taught as a child, that it's all in the heart of what you do and how your character is and your integrity. It all comes from the heart, and that's the reason why I'm running for mayor. One of the main reasons.
You also have to get tough though, because you have people that you who maybe not doing the job.
That's
not that you're going to be doge, but people who are not doing the job. You have to be tough about that. You have to be tough with people in just any position in a municipality.
Absolutely,
it'd be very tough. Whether they're police, firemen.
Right.
And you started off doing parks and rec business that you learned in the military.
Absolutely.
You have to, sometimes you have to get hard. It may come from the heart, but it's
it is
hard when you have to be, when you have to be tough with somebody and say, you know what, you're out.
That's a good point because most people don't realize about me. I'm so kind and everything else, but I do have the side where I do have a business side, and my mother was from Michigan, so I do have that.
Oh, well, that explains. Where in Michigan was she from?
She was from Lansing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I do have that Yankee aspect about me that, it's when it's business, it's business. We can play and we can have fun at different times, but when it comes down to business, I'm all business, and that's and I take this serious. When you're running for mayor or any office, whatever you do, you put your full full throttle ahead, no matter if you're dealing with personnel
it's got to be
issues.
24/7.
That's right. It's 24/7. And that's one thing about me is I put my cell phone out there to everyone. Whenever I have my push cards on the very front of it, I put my personal cell phone on it. When I was a Rankin County supervisor for 8 years, everyone knew my personal cell phone. When they had problems, they didn't call the front office. They called me because they elected me, and that's the reason why I get in this office or want this office, because those people, my people, which I consider my family, I want them to be able to get a hold of me. Now, whether I can do it, whether I can help them with that problem, legally sometimes you can't do, but some people just want to vent and find out. But if I can't fix it, I can put them to someone that can actually help them.
Well, that would be good. What's the biggest challenge for Flowood, which has been growing so exponentially fast? We've talked about. I mean, I remember, and it wasn't so long ago. Where Flowood Drive was the back way.
That's right.
You could avoid Lakeland and go the back way. It was 2 lanes, and you could, at the end of it, if you've never done it, folks, not the end of it. Well, yeah, the end of it is right there at WLBT. It's convenient for certain person we all know.
Yes.
It was a real nice way to get there, and but now it's 4-lane, 5-lane, whatever.
That's
and
right.
It's just busy as ever. But that's one small thing, of course. And we talked about how I call it the center of Flowood.
Right.
Really, at Old Fannin and Lakeland was nothing.
Correct.
It was farmland. But little did we know there was this man on top of a hill,
Mr. Hogue.
Mr. Hogue, who would he would look down on what is now Dogwood.
That's Dogwood and all the commons and everything. He had a vision years ago, and I sat down with the gentleman, Mr. Hogue, that went on to be with the Lord. He told me, and I asked him point blank, I said, how did you know to pick this place? How did you know to buy this land? And he came here in a truck selling vegetables and fruit and stuff, and he said, Greg, I was told a long time ago that if you will buy land at a great price around an airport, it will thrive. And he did.
Yeah.
He started picking up land, and sure enough, you see what's happened to Flowood. So, when you asked about the challenges, one of the major challenges we have in Flowood, when I started there back in 1999 when Mayor Rhodes hired me, I was actually there the day that we started the groundbreaking for Dogwood. So
1999?
Yes, back in 1999. It actually started in 2000. Mm-hmm. That's when everything started flourishing. So I've been there a long time, but some of the main challenges that I've seen going through these years that I've been there is we used to be called unique. We had unique different types of businesses and stuff like that. What I've been out there on the campaign trail and hearing people say is that we have too many businesses that are of the same kind. Excuse me. If you have businesses, and competition is great, don't get me wrong, competition is great, but when you have too many of the same type of businesses, you've got to look outside the box. You've got to diversify. You've got to go out and you've got to actually get out in the world, and you've got to try to get other businesses to come to your city.
Well, I call it the Lakeland Food Court. It's between Walgreens and Waffle House.
Correct.
And it's in all these places. It's like a food court. I mean,
It
that's
is.
Just and across the street, car wash and other things. And
Right.
There's a need for some of that. There's a need for food places. Let's face it. I mean, everybody needs a place. But I do want to think something I think is sad to see. And I love all the development. I mean, it's a hoot to come up from Jackson at night and you see these lights appear out of nowhere. And there's Flowood. But what saddens me actually is between Kroger's. There's a store or two between Kroger's and Steinmart. The old Steinmart. There's nothing there. There's empty stores, and that should not be. And they have been empty for too long. And so is Steinmart. But that is, I mean, they're gone. They're not coming back. They didn't manage their money very well. And I know that's left over from. But there seems to me that should be recruited pretty heavily.
That is my main focus, is recruiting businesses to fill these voids. Because, as you said, excuse me, I got some sinus stuff going on, but
I've been out doing pines, or what do you call them, crepe myrtles this week. I got a load of it.
Yes.
But anyway,
So yes, Steinmart's been empty for 5 to 6 years. That is unacceptable.
Terrible.
if you don't get out and recruit and try to get more of these business types in, and I'm talking whether you go out and you got to go out of the state sometimes to recruit these businesses. And I know Mayor Rhodes did that years back. He did a great job at that.
Oh yeah, because every time for a long time I would go down Lakeland and be like, where am I? Because who are these people? Who are these stores?
Right.
Where did this come from? Yes, we have that. But the next step is maintaining.
That's correct.
And growing. And even parking lots. I noticed this when I was flying around the helicopter. You could look down at some places you thought the stores were kind of nice, but the parking lots were raggedy, awful looking.
Well,
but you gotta get the stores. So is it up to the mayor to go recruiting? Would you personally go recruiting?
That's absolutely correct. I am not afraid to go recruit. I've been to Washington D.C. to secure funds and things like that on infrastructures. I've actually become, as I've retired from the city of Flowood, I've been out at the fairgrounds with Commissioner Andy Gibson. I've been able to meet a lot of the legislatures, become friends with a lot of business owners throughout the other states that want to come into Flowood, but they want to be able to come in with someone that they know, someone that they trust, because I've been out there for 4 years learning these people. I have a strategy. I was the former Flowood Chamber Director for a year during COVID when the mayor asked me to retire from City of Flowood. So during COVID, we were broke. Flowood Chamber was broke. I brought it back to $275,000 in the black. Because those businesses trusted me. These businesses trust me and my character and what vision I do have.
What vision do you see? What do you see as Flowood's ID?
Okay, so Flowood's ID is, as always, it is businesses, but it also has a community that lives off of these businesses. The community has somewhat suffered because Men in Blue and the fire department have not been able to get out there with the community as much as what they used to. Back in the day, we used to have, and of course it was smaller back then, don't get me wrong, but I have a vision of getting these chiefs and all their firemen and their police officers back into the community, start having more events that are family friendly, which then it brings in the synergy of businesses. When you go out and recruit these businesses and they see things going on different and diversified, then things start to work again.
Well, we used to call them all Freddie Flowood. You know all that.
Absolutely.
Are we still Freddie Flowoods? Are they still? Or
not so much, because we had a turnover of a lot of police officers, and not all of them were retired. Some of them went to sister cities, and of course we finally got the pay up to scale and things.
Yeah, what are you up to? What is starting? I think Brandon's starting at 52.
I think we're around 55, 54, right in there.
And JPD, Jackson is up to 40,
right,
which is a big jump for them.
Right.
But
So,
you're in the 50s.
You've got a balance. You do. You have a balance between having the pay, but also the morale. The police officers have to realize and have to know that the administration has their back. And I'm not saying they don't have their back, but it's different, especially when you have new officers out there that are just learning the job and things like that, or they may be coming from other cities, so they have to learn the political piece of it, the job piece of it, the community, which if they don't know the community, as in they have not been out into community functions and have not been accepted by the community, because a lot of people have been there forever.
Yeah.
So I want it to feel again like a big family, that people trust the police officers, the firemen. I want to have major events where these people are actually out there meeting their police officers, their firemen. I actually want to start a business consortium, basically a committee of businesses, business leaders in Flowood. And when I say that, what I want to do is have at least monthly or quarterly meetings with them and say, okay, what are we lacking in Flowood? Because if we're going to do this and do it right, you get your information from the people that surround you. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world. Even as the mayor, you don't have to be the smartest, but you surround yourself with the people that know the businesses, know what we're looking for.
Well, a lot of these police officers had, maybe many of them are gone by now, but in all these years of this big development, getting rid of busted glass places and stuff like that. Well, you do have that lovely. It's a great recycling place, I must say.
Right.
I saw a stack of cars a few weeks ago. I've never seen anything so big in my life. You can see it going by on Flowood Drive.
Yes.
But they've had the police. They've had to learn that things are different. You still want obviously your main thing is to keep law and order and all that.
That is
but
correct.
you have to learn people skills along the way.
That's correct.
I mean that's something. But who's your chief now?
So the chief is Zetterholm. He's been there about 12 years. And, he's doing a good job with what he's got, I think. And he had a time of trying to recruit, and I remember back in the day, I'm glad you asked that question, because back in the day we had a stacks of applications, probably at least 14 inches thick for people wanting to come to Flowood. And it wasn't too long ago they had to put it on Facebook to try to recruit officers. And I'm not saying it's all because of Flowood or whatever. I think it's the time that we live in. People do not respect the police as much as what they used to. But you can
they were vilified by people who aren't from around here,
correct.
Shall we say?
That is correct. So it's a tough
national thing.
It is.
It was a national thing, and they were very vilified, and
right.
And that's disgusting. But yeah,
it's a tough position. It's a tough job, and
what's terrible?
Well,
the whole thing that it's still. I've always heard this forever and ever. The hardest job that a police officer has is to respond to a domestic situation because
correct.
You don't know what's going to happen. And I mean, gosh, look at this one this week. There was
right.
a JPD officer who was the offender, apparently,
correct.
the alleged offender, shall we say. And then there was a thing in Brandon a couple of years ago where there was a guy
right.
holed up in his house,
That's
things
correct.
like that. So you have to take into account not only the character of the applicant, but you have to take in their training.
Right.
Do you have a good training plan for your police?
Well, and that's where I want to find out exactly what we've got. I do have ideas. Being out at the fairgrounds, I've been able to meet a lot of people out there that actually have higher techniques and better techniques.
You're working with Capitol Police
yes,
out there.
That's correct.
Okay. We're going to take a break here. This is Greg Wilcox, folks. He'd like to be the next mayor of Flowood. It's Mary Wieden You, and we'll take a break and be back in a few minutes. Which does kind of lead us into a question of that stuff. So in the studio with me is Greg Wilcox. He wants to be the next mayor of Flowood. His opponent is coming on the show next Friday, and you can call him at 888-808-8637. Hey, did anybody call and identify what a hatch is? I said we got to batten down our hatches for the weather. What's a hatch?
Not yet.
You don't get a prize. You just get our undying gratitude for calling and take. What's a hatch? Anyway, for the bad weather. So 888-808-8637, and then if you want questions too, you can ask him at 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395, and you can watch us supertalk.fm/Mary. And that's going to be on if you missed the show. Oh, I missed the show. Well, you know what? You can go back and look at that and find out what's going on. But that song reminded me, drugs, big problem all over the country. And
it is.
But we don't live there. We live here.
Right.
And so, what's the situation in Flowood by way of drugs?
Okay, so are there drugs there? Absolutely.
Heck yes.
But I think that pretty much everything is in control now. Do we have pockets that the police force do know about? Absolutely. So they keep a good watch on it, and I can tell you as a former police officer, when I joined the Air Force back in 1979, that's what I wanted to be, was a police officer. So when I say I back the blue, I'm 110% behind the back the blue, because for 3 years I was a police officer in the Air Force, and that's when I retrained into morale, welfare, and recreation, into parks and recreation, and then God catapulted me. 20 years later, I had no idea that I was going to become the parks director with the city of Flowood, but that's how God works.
Yep.
I mean, got me ready. So, but yes, back to drugs, absolutely. And not only that, alcohol and domestic abuse and stuff like that, that's all over the world. It really is. And that's one of the scariest parts of as being a police officer, is because you never know what you're rolling in on a domestic violence or something like that, because you got a volatile situation. But that comes from training. That comes from some major training that they have to go through. So our police officers, I think they do a phenomenal job. That is our anchor. Our anchor is the police and fire department of the city
police
of Flowood.
And schools are the two big things that people look at.
Absolutely. And we've got a huge, great school systems in Flowood. We've got 3 schools: Northwest Rankin, we've got Hartfield, and Jackson Prep. We're very blessed, and it's. My wife is a teacher, actually been a teacher for 17 years.
Where does she teach?
She teaches over in Brandon. She's been there for 17
in Brandon. Oh,
yes.
Isn't that interesting?
It's kind of crazy. But then I have a daughter that's a school resource nurse out at Oakdale Elementary, which is Northwest Rankin.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Right. So when that happens, when they walk in with their garb on, you got the Cougars and you got the Bulldogs. It's a house divided, but it's not. We love each other, and we all have good times, good funs. I mean, it's.
That reminds me about something. Years ago, within the last 5 years, I would have to say, or less, there was a child who committed suicide, went to Oakdale. It was like 3rd grade, I think, was bullied, something like that, 3rd or 4th grade. It was a really tragic situation, and I wanted to do that, officially on my program, and nobody would call me back.
Oh my goodness.
And you know why? Because they want to keep it secret. No, that's the time when you talk about it. You've got to talk about these things. You cannot hide that. You cannot put it in the bottom drawers and it won't have any. No, you educate everybody. You educate the public. You educate parents. You educate kids.
That's right.
Everybody along the way has got to know about this.
Well, you got to know. You're exactly right, because if you educate, then all of a sudden you can see the signs, and you know how to talk to your kids. That's the biggest thing nowadays. You've got to. It starts at the family. Everything starts at the family. Yep. Everything starts at home. So, as my wife being a teacher, she can tell the ones that are not taught at home or whatever. So when she gets them in her class, all of a sudden she becomes kind of like the mom and the parent.
What grade?
So she teaches 11th and 12th grade work-based learning. She's over all the student body all the student body over that. She's also over graduation. She does a lot of things. Wow. She just started a coffee club up there. And so she's very involved.
Pretty cool.
Well, the one thing about my family is we don't sit back and just wait for things to come to us. We all have a work ethic that is beyond belief. I mean, it's amazing how God put us all together, and it's just when as a unit we work together, and that's even during this campaign. It's been so amazing to see the team that has come together for my campaign for mayor. The other day, first time we walked and knocked on doors, I think I had about 10 people. The next weekend, I had about 15. This past weekend, I had about 20 people.
Who will answer the door?
Who will answer? No, I'm talking people that are
working with you. Oh, I see.
Walking and knocking on doors. That are volunteering all their time to do this, because they believe in the cause of some changes, some positive changes that are needed in Flowood.
How much is this campaign costing?
It's roughly. It's probably going to be around $35,000 to $40,000, and I'm blessed to have a lot of people behind me, that businesses and residents, friends, families. I got a check the other day from my mother-in-law, and I said, I'm not taking my money from my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law to death, and she would be so mad if I was saying this on air, but I'm not going to be taking my money from my mother-in-law. So, but she believes in me that much.
Well, she wants to take part in it.
She does.
Other than just voting, she wants to take part in it.
Well, and she lives in Brandon, so she, but
okay.
It's because of that. It's just, we've got a family unit that is so strong. I'm so proud of my kids. I've got 2 nurses as daughters, and then one at Southern that is in audiology right now. So, and it's just, it's amazing how God has blessed me. I've got a granddaughter that has been adopted. I lost a grandson about 14 months ago. He was about a year and a half old. Still miss little Will brother. But because
is it an illness?
it was a virus that hit his heart and his brain at the same time, and Blair Batson couldn't do anything about it. There was nothing that could be done.
So sorry.
But you
got a little angel up there.
Exactly. And see, from there, my daughter could never have children. That's the reason why they adopted. And now God said, it's time for you. She is 33 weeks pregnant now.
Oh.
And she's on bed rest. So God said, it's time for you to have your own child.
Oh, wow.
So,
how about that?
Tori is, everyone loves Nurse Tori out at Oakdale Elementary. So
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, now back to hardcore business.
Yes.
This is hardcore. You don't have liquor stores in Flowood, do you?
We do not have liquor stores in Flowood.
Do you think that you should?
Well, that's a catch-22. Let's put it that way. We've got liquor stores all around us.
Boy, we got a bunch out by the reservoir. It's crazy.
Correct.
On the Rankin side.
It is.
I think there are 4 of them in like a 1 mile square area. That's
Right.
a bit much, but
I know that's a hardball question. So it's one of those things that once I become mayor, if I'm able to become mayor, I want to talk to my board. I want to get the input from the people. What do they think?
You haven't heard from them? I'll tell you something. One of the coolest things that ever happened, I thought was cool. Mother's Day of 2011,
right.
in the middle of the flood of the Mississippi River, Flowood. It was the first Sunday that you could buy liquor by the drink in
Right.
Flowood, Mississippi, and we
Right.
went down to a local restaurant. Bert and I did, and we ordered mimosas. Like, oh, how sinful is this? It's Sunday and it's in Flowood, Mississippi,
Right.
and this is legal to do. Like, very sinful. We appreciate that you did that.
Right.
That the city did that. I mean, that's what you do. You want good restaurants.
Well,
and
and
stuff.
that's
You
how
gotta have stuff to drink.
That's how you do. You have to have liquor by the glass,
amenities.
and you do. You have to have amenities.
Doesn't
That's
mean
how
people, it doesn't mean that you can go in there and drink glass of water
That's
if you want.
correct.
But if you like to have a drink, you can do that.
That's how you get your high-end restaurants there.
High-end
because
people get drunk.
Well, the thing of it is, you will not be able to recruit your better restaurants unless you do have liquor by the glass or something like that. You just won't, because they know that is what they call liquid gold. Liquid gold, that is the money. That's where the money's at. Yeah. So, it's a catch-22 again. It's one of those, I'm not trying to avoid the question, but mine is I want to have the input from the people.
I would think that people have been talking about it.
They have.
I don't know if they...
Some want it, some don't. But what they don't want is they don't want duplications of liquor, liquor stores all over every piece,
corner.
Every corner, like we do have certain businesses that we've got way too many of. I've heard that even from...
Which ones? Way too many what? Car washes?
Well,
there's a lot of car washes in Flowood.
So we've got car washes. We've got chicken strip businesses.
Yeah.
We've got Mexican restaurants. We've got a ton of all kind of different, not different, they're the same types of so what it does, it waters down the money. And that's, like I said, again, competition is great. But when you have too many of the same types of things, we have no Olive Garden, we have no, other types of businesses that you can bring in. And I've heard the joke, Cheesecake Factory. I would love to be able to go out there and recruit a Cheesecake Factory. Can I do it? If anyone can do it, believe me, I can.
Yeah, that would have been a good place for the corner bakery.
Absolutely.
Somebody's in there now.
Right.
I don't know who it is, but
and how many times do you go to Flowood and be able to sit down and have catfish, some catfish instead of having to pay high price? And I know we've got a business that has catfish, but we don't have a Caulk of the Walk. We don't have a Barry's, or we don't have a Jerry's. We have right outside of Flowood, we have crawfish places. We don't have one in Flowood.
Oh, you got a list of things that you could handle.
Oh, I've got a lot.
A lot of lists.
When I say I've got a vision, I do have a vision, and I've got the experience behind me that back it up.
I have a request that you don't tear down Foy's.
Right?
Foy's, folks, it's terrible.
I'm a Flowood guy, and you've dropped one on me here. What's this?
It's at the corner. Oh, I can't even stop laughing. It's at the corner of Old Brandon Road and Casey's Lane.
Right.
It needs.
It needs.
You know where that is?
It almost.
It's that double down place.
It sticks
Terrible.
out there where you can't even hardly see. It's almost dangerous to be able to pull out on the road out there.
Yes, it is. But it's a landmark point. If you're coming from Jackson on Flowood Drive, and you want to, Old Brandon Road, excuse me. Old Brandon Road is Old Brandon, and then you want to turn up Casey's Lane to get onto Flowood Drive.
Yeah.
Well, that's where Foy's is.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I know that area very well.
It's really a Boo Radley business, I must say. It's terrible.
Boo Rad.
But there's no other way to know where Casey's Lane is. And that, by the way, Casey's Lane has been cleaned up. And if folks don't know about Casey's Lane, that was very famous during the 60s or whenever it was, when Mississippi was dry.
That's right.
And people would go. And you know who used to bring liquor from Louisiana in a hearse? Was Charlie Evers, and he used to tell the story. Charlie Evers, he did, because who's going to stop a guy in a hearse? But anyway, he would bring. I don't know where he distributed it, but anyway, but it used to be okay. There were houses there, and there was circle driveways around them. You would pay in the front of the house, you'd order what you wanted, and then you drive around to the back of the house, and you'd pick it up, and then keep on going around. And to this day, you can, because I was telling somebody about this recently, and I was driving. I said, let me see if I can find some of those. You can see. Barely, but you can see remnants of where some of that stuff was.
Absolutely.
And all the dead school buses were there, too, but all that's behind.
They call that
fences.
the Gold Coast
Yes,
Gold Coast
it was
area.
the Gold Coast.
That's right.
It's been cleaned up, but...
It has, but there's still some places we need to be cleaning up of.
Leave Foy's, please.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a great landmark. We'll be back in just a minute on Mary Wieden You. Well, everybody around here knows, because they've all worked in the radio business in one form or another, and they all know music. I'm sort of dumb about it.
That's a great song anyway, no matter who sings it.
But I am a Willie fan.
That whole crew, they put a whole group of everybody, Leftover Sam and the band, and Waylon comes in, and it's got everybody. It's like what they call a
jam.
Yeah, jam session. Yeah, and they just bring people left and right for all the songs, and that's one of my favorites because Waylon leads it. And they're covering that song. So.
Like the old song, We Are the World.
Yes.
Y'all remember that?
It's similar. They've got so many people that are involved in that. I love the whole album, but that kind of leads into, we were visiting in the break here, and statewide this question continues to pop up, but we haven't had anybody that I think can answer it as you did. But with Kratom and the other things that are being sold in gas stations in all of these towns and cities, that we have a lot of folks that are extremely worried about, their kids getting a hold of it. We've had some that have had extremely adverse consequences to using some of these products, and then some swear by them. So how do you go about regulating what is in these places, these gas stations, and what is your opinion on this stuff, sir?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I have been asked that same thing. I've got friends that actually had, near deaths or deaths with that. And being out at the fairgrounds for the last 4 years working for Andy Gibson, I've been fortunate to be able to meet with a lot of the legislators out there and become friends with them and know and talk with them on certain aspects of that. When we do something like that, the city of Flowood does not have the basically the legislation on that. That's going to have to go through legislature. Now, will I be an advocate for that? Absolutely, because anything that is bad for anyone, whether it be drugs, alcohol that's it's been moonshined or whatever, I mean, it's got to be outlawed, but it's got to be it's got to be taken through legislation. And I will be an advocate to make this happen because I don't want it in my city. I don't want synthetic drugs that are out there that are being able to sell across the counter and people either near pass away or do die from it because, you're putting people at risk just to make $1. So, yes, it needs to go through legislation. And I'm not trying to say that I'm trying to hand it off to them. But legislation is the one that enacts that, and it should be statewide no matter what. I mean, just because it's Flowood, we've got it all across the state, so we need to have that come out of legislation.
Yep. Is that what y'all are finding out too? I mean, on your show,
we're hearing this from somebody running for mayor, which is great because we don't have a lot of this conversation in a local capacity, and who is actually in charge of ensuring that this stuff doesn't get into the public. And I think the answer was very straightforward there. And this legislation at the state level has to be the governing factor. And then on the flip side of that, the mayors and all those that are running towns and that, they're going to go, hey, we're all for that, but you've got to act first.
That's correct.
Well, what if a city council says, hey, we will pass an ordinance banning Kratom or stuff like that? Can you do that? Is that, I should know the answer to that, but I don't.
Well, this is, the short answer to that is yes, they can actually
you can outlaw it.
They can enact as whatever they need to make sure that this is not in our city. To further it past that, we do need the legislation to back us all up.
Well, you can. I don't know if you have a ban on paraphernalia, bongs and stuff like that. Do you have? Some places do. Some cities do. I don't think you can buy stuff in Madison. I don't think you can.
Not being a police officer myself, or not even being the legal expert for the city, mine is whenever I do get in there, I'm going to have to learn a lot of that. But from day one, I'm already a step up because I do know how the system does work and how to get these things accomplished.
We had one question on the text line that would be kind of a complete 180 from what we were just talking about, because a lot of the Kratom and those things is something that is the young folks in all these wonderful schools, as they get out of school and they can go into these gas stations, no telling what they're getting. But on the flip side of that, we have a question from the 601. What is Greg going to do for the seniors of Flowood?
Good question.
That's a phenomenal question. So for 25 years, 20 years I was the parks director. So from day one, I started a seniors program back in 2001. I started the seniors program. Asked the board, the mayor, from day one, I need a seniors center for them to have 7 days a week, their own senior center, so that way they're able to go there and have their own place of their own. Right now they're able to go to the Flowood Library, and they have it once a week. They have a card day once a week. Well, when we have election days or we have something else that precedes that, they kick them out and they have to find another place to go. So I want a senior center for our senior citizens, and that's one of my first things from day one that I'm going to build. And how I'm going to do that's not going to cost the taxpayers one dime. We actually, for 2% food and beverage taxes that we have that comes through the city, for everyone that comes out there and buys, whether they buy food or beverage or whatever, we have a 2% tax. And that can only be used into recreation, the chamber, and the refuge. So annually per year, and I just verified this with the city clerk the other day, is $4 million per year that we take in just on 2% tax on food and beverage. $4 million annually should more than easily be able to build a senior center in the central of Flowood, and that allows our seniors to have a place of their own that they can call home and actually have whatever they want to do in there. Whatever, if they want to play cards, if they want to have a dance, whatever, but they have to have a place that they can call home because they paved the way for the city of Flowood.
Yep.
That's a great point.
Yep.
We've had several comments and questions regarding that from the text line. That was not the only person curious about seniors.
This one just said, is Flowood a welcoming place for senior citizens?
Oh, absolutely.
I guess that parlay on that question is, how do you get that senior citizen living designation that you see insert? You got the sign that says designated senior community.
Well, that comes from a great police force, a great family.
Chamber of Commerce, or they're the ones that get that?
Your Chamber of Commerce, and again, I had that experience in that, so I work well with the Chamber right now. I was the one that actually, Janet Reilly is our Chamber Director, and I recommended her to take my place back whenever I retired from there. But so we have a great relation, but we put our thinking caps together. But police force, we've got a great hospitals, we've got great facilities for the seniors. So but then you also have to have some facilities for them to be able to come to, as in a senior center. They want to have things to do because they just don't want to sit in their recliners. They want to have places to go.
I have to not be remiss and must ask about my favorite topic. ice skating rink. We had an ice skating rink in Flowood.
Well,
as a matter of fact,
you had the park.
You had the one,
yeah.
but that was so poorly managed. It was
Right.
it was disgusting. It was poorly managed. I mean, kids were working there on the weekends and were tearing the place apart.
Right.
But that's a wonderful thing. And then we had grandmothers in there taking the skating lessons. I mean, that was pretty cool.
See,
you could do. Well, I wish we had that. And
is it? I mean, can it be done? Absolutely.
I think if the wiring is under the floor, then it can be done.
It is.
And one of our skating directors is a woman who lives in Hazelhurst who's like architectural, and she would know how to expand that rink to make it regulation size for hockey games.
Right.
Not just that would be great. That would be so good if that could be regenerated. That would be wonderful because you get the right people running it.
Right.
Get the right facility, right people running it. That's every state in the union's got indoor ice skating rinks. Well, we do have one up in Olive Branch. I was going to call it. I was going to call it Olive Drab, but Olive.
Well, if you think about it, that's where I've been
That's
going.
Memphis.
That's a lot where I've been going with this. We need to diversify. We need to get back to being unique.
Yes, you can have
We've
that.
got to have a destination point for people to want to come in. When they come in, they drop their money here. They may not want to live here, but that's an economic boost. Something different.
Yep.
So, I mean, I want to get ballet. I want to have something where we have ballet, we have arts and things like that. There's really nowhere around that we have that now. So Flowood could be the hub for that.
If you got the land for it, I guess you do.
Look,
We got a lot of land.
We got a lot of land.
Yeah.
We're not landlocked, so I can assure you. And again, $4 million a year
for that,
just in food and beverage. That's what that kind of money goes for.
I say, hey, a great idea here, and I'm going to let you take credit for this, but maybe like an alligator petting zoo over off the Pearl or something. I'm playing.
Yeah,
but
I'll
there's
give
so
you
much
some
land.
of those
There's so
alligators
much
out of my
opportunity.
backyard. You know what I mean?
Look, I do have a friend that he's a snake grabber, so we could actually partner with him. How about that?
I'm telling you, that would be fun. Watching somebody grab snakes on the Pearl.
Well, I mean, we can have Terry Vandevender he's our great herpetologist for the state of Mississippi. He comes on the show, and Terry brings he always brings a little guest in his little pocket of guest on the show, whether it's a little king snake, a spotted king snake, stuff like that. That would be nice.
Right.
It'd be real nice. No, but we could have. Yeah, you could have a lot of stuff. Where's your let's see, your residential, real quick, because we're out of time. Where are you going residentially right now? What's hot for residential areas in Flowood?
Okay, so residentially, it's growing. We've got a lot of subdivisions coming up. New ones, absolutely. They're coming up.
Off of Lakeland.
Yeah, right off of Lakeland, just up the road on Works.
Yes.
We got some off of Luckney Road. We've got other places.
That's right, you do.
Yes. So, like I said, they're coming up. They're popping up left and right.
Well, Greg Wilcox, who wants to be mayor, folks, that's who has spent this time with us. And but again, though, we got to all be weather aware for the next day and a half. So watch out, everybody. Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And if you get elected, I hope you come on the show. I hope this is the first show you do.
I want to come back.
Well, we'll meet your opposition next Friday. All right, everybody, have a good one. Be safe. Keep your eyes on the weather.